Meister Rilling, it is a tremendous honor to meet you, and on behalf of the Conductors Guild, I would like to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I thought we would start by having you share with us a little bit about what conducting was like when you began in Germany back in the 1950s. Who were some of your mentors who influenced you in your training, and how they influenced you?
Let me first say that it is wonderful that you come here to my house near Stuttgart and we can meet here, me sitting in front of the organ which I played for a long time. And as you say, I started my work here in the southern part of Germany many years ago, but it has gone from here to, I can say, nearly the whole world. I was in many countries, of course, including countries here in Europe, but also in the United States and in other parts of the world. It has always been a joy for me to do important and good musical work.
So, who were some of your mentors that you had in your development, whether they were in the organ or in choir or conductors early in your career?
Well, of course, every musician, and especially we conductors, need people who help you to develop the skills, the techniques, but also a personal way of expressing yourself musically and giving ideas which you have to other people. And I think my most important conducting teacher was Leonard Bernstein, Lenny. I studied for a short time with him in New York City when he conducted there the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. And this was a great teacher for me. He had a wonderful way of expressing himself in front of his musicians. He could explain what he wanted to have, but he was also a wonderful human being and could express what he saw in the music to audiences.
When I think of your career, what I think of first are your performances and interpretations of J.S. Bach. Your recordings of Bach are the standard. How did you get to where you are today as a Bach specialist?
Of course, I started with Bach in my young years, and for a long time, as you can see here with this instrument, I was an organist, and I played all the wonderful Bach preludes, fugues, toccatas, and of course I played the wonderful music which he composed for chorales. This is very deeply felt music, and from there my way led to the vocal works of Bach, to the cantatas, and to the oratorios. And I had the great chance to record all Bach's works. This is wonderful. Who has such a chance? And with these recordings, which of course always need a lot of preparation, I really became a Bach scholar. And I learned so much from him, from his music, from his way to setting words and texts to music. And he has done that in a wonderful form, which many people nowadays appreciate all over the world.
When you started your career, you started out by establishing the Geschinger Cantorite Choir, which joined forces with the Bach Collegium in Stuttgart. I would like you to tell us a little bit about how this came to happen.
Well, I founded this choir in a little village in the Swabian Alps, not very far from here, when I was a student. And it was a group of students who studied with me and had the same interests. And we did at that time not want to found a new chorus, but we had so much fun doing the music, rehearsing and performing, that finally the Gechinger Kantorei came out, and we had a lot of fun and also success over the years. So this is nowadays one of the most well-known choruses.
Okay, great. What is the dynamic of the entrances of the first and then of the second chorus when they sing Seht?
It's still forte.
Mm-hmm. You show us a sort of a mezzo forte. Can you really show them that this is a full forte chord?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when the choir, the Conductors comes, then it should be less. Huh? Mm-hmm. Can you show us?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think? Why does Bach put all of a sudden a forte in these two measures of the orchestra in 58 and 59?
Because when the choir is not singing, the forte is always, the orchestra is always forte.
Mm-hmm. But he writes that in both orchestras they are corresponding with this bam, bam, bam. What is textually speaking underlined?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
The choir sing Seht, wohin, look upon our guilt.
Guilt, yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Bach underlines our guilt, which is the reason for Christ's passion. Huh? Mm-hmm. So it could be very strong. Mm-hmm. Not playful, you see, not bum, 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 but demanding da 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 da.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about pedagogy. What is your philosophy on teaching of conducting and also rehearsing ensembles?
Well, education is something very, very important. And I think also it is a lot of fun to teach conducting. And of course, you give to the coming conductors, to young people mostly, you give not only the technique, not only how you have to conduct, not 1, 2, 3, 4, and entrances, but what you give to them, and what is especially important, the idea of the music. What is the idea of a given piece? What does it want to express? And a conductor must find out that, because he has to give on to the audience the idea of the composer. So he must analyze pieces, look exactly what the composer wanted to express, and then verbalize that and give it to the students. I think it's a great process, and I always felt obliged to follow this with all my intensity.
When revisiting a work that you know incredibly well, for example, the Bach B minor Mass, how do you continue to further the depth of knowledge of this score, and how do you keep it fresh and alive?
I think it's important that one never repeats things as they were. You conduct a piece and you had your ideas in regards to, say, dynamics, tempos, articulation. And now the next time you say, okay, maybe I should take this tempo a little faster, and another tempo perhaps a little slower. And you would say, in the balance, I do not hear the middle sections enough, and you change it. And the next time you do that again. And I think you should never just repeat, but always create anew.
To have someone lecture on the music and then turn around and demonstrate with the exact performing forces what they've just been talking about. You could go to a lecture that would just be a pre-concert lecture and they'd talk or play a recording, or you could read program notes. But to have Mr. Rilling there explaining everything and then turning around and saying, okay, now we'll hear it on the violins, or now we'll hear this in the chorus.
And you hear now the 5 choirs singing to each other. 2 vocal choirs, 3-part, 3 instrumental choirs, 3-part, and underneath you hear the majestic and trembling rhythm of the timpani. And Bach decided to take this piece for the Mass, a piece which he had written in 1724.
You recorded all of Bach's cantatas and helped initiate the project to record all of Bach's complete works. That's a huge undertaking that requires a great amount of stamina and endurance. What was that process like for you personally and emotionally even?
Well, as I said before, I think Bach is the foremost teacher. Studying his works gives you great insights, not only in his thinking, but in the overall perception of music. This goes into architecture and structure. This goes to the interpretation and the precise idea of words, the painting of words, but also of larger connections. Connections like what does death mean? What does resurrection mean? And how can you express that musically? And I think that Bach was the teacher, giving us wonderful ideas from where we can continue. It was just much work, first of all, because you need to fulfill all the sometimes staggering demands of the score. To have high trumpets always play the right notes and in the right rhythm and with a good intonation, to have a solo singer enunciate his text precisely and fulfill the dynamic needs of a piece. This is just hard work. But of course, you are right, there are moments of happiness when you see a difficult piece had been performed well and recorded well, and this gives you a lot of joy and fulfillment.
Next, I would like to talk a little bit about ensemble building. That is one of the things that you're so great at. One of your major successes in your career is your ability to build ensembles. Specifically, you co-found the Oregon Bach Festival in 1970 and the International Bach Academy in Stuttgart in 1981. What is your process in going about building such ensembles?
Well, we as conductors, as you all know, we cannot do anything alone. We always need other people for making the music, and not only the music, but also the organization behind. And I was very grateful, especially to Royce Salzman. He was the friend who, together with me, founded the Oregon Bach Festival. And of course, this was only possible with the background of the functioning music school of the university. And it was great that we could bring in colleagues from many countries to teach the students, teach analysis, teach instrumental techniques, teach theological backgrounds. And as I say, you always need others. You cannot do this alone. And I was grateful and will always be grateful to those people who helped me to set up these institutions.
Before we conclude, I would like to use this time to thank you and your wife for inviting me to your home, and also for your time to share your thoughts on your career and your successes. On behalf of the Conductors Guild, we greatly appreciate it. One final question: do you have any advice or insights you would like to share with young or seasoned conductors?
Well, let me say, isn't it great that first of all we have this wonderful music from many different composers. For me, Bach is one of the most important, but of course there are many, many others. And let me say something to contemporary music. I think it's so important that we give our composers, the composers of our days, the chance to compose new things and have them heard and discussed and give us an opinion of their thinking in our world. I think we should always enhance the composing of new music and should also perform this. I have done this in my life very often, and the major works have come to life, and I know how important commissions are and your own involvement, that we as conductors of course feel responsible for the wonderful heritage of past times, but we also feel responsible for what happens today, for the creation of new works.
On behalf of the Conductors Guild, in recognition of outstanding achievement as a conductor and pedagogue, and significant service to the profession in the realms of scholarship, advocacy, and ensemble building, we present to you, Herr Maestro Helmuth Rilling, this award, the Max Rudolf Award. This award was established by the Conductors Guild in memory of Max Rudolf, a longtime supporter of the Guild and conducting pedagogue and scholar. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful. And would you please thank the Board of Directors for this award, the Max Rudolf Award. I feel much honored by this, and it's a great thing for me to join the group of esteemed colleagues which have been given this award before me. So thank you all, my friends, for this award. This is great. I'm moved.
Thank you very much.